There we go. Hello everyone. We are going to be watching this game, which is a Silver and Bronze TvT on Typhon Peaks. Our hero is Kenlon, and his opponent is Charles Wang. Charles Wang, I don't know if it's supposed to be a possessive, like that's his Wang, which would be fine. Everyone, should have one of their own, I guess. Or if it's a last name, which is possible as well, I suppose. I'm on one of my bi-monthly probational periods right now, as Abe takes me off the forums for sport, which is always fun. This is one of the longest loading screens I've ever seen for this. Unbelievable. Let's go. Hello? Alright. This is what I expect to see out of StarCraft, is that it crashes. There we go. Sorry for the wait. I'm still sorry for the wait. I just want you to know that I have not become unsorry. There we go. Alright, let's get to watching. I think this planet's in the danger zone from this white hot thing over here, whatever it happens to be. Alright, I don't want to talk about anything while this loading screen is up. I just kind of want to bask in its majesty, you know? I guess in a better position here. Man, I should probably just re-record this. Oh well. Okay, here we go. This is what's happening now. Welcome. This is one of my favorite splitting techniques, is to select 5 of 6 SCVs and send them to mine, then grab the other one. Anyway, here we go. Kenlon versus Charles Wang. Charles is Wang. We'll just call him Charles, who is the blue Terran in the bottom left. And our hero is the red Terran in the top right. So this is a lower league game, bronze and silver. It means that the criticisms that we're going to make, good luck but not too much luck, I like that. The criticisms that we're going to make are going to be different than we would if this were a higher level game. Almost eerie how well I wonder if it's just a matter of not watching enough StarCraft that people do things like this, where they just kind of wait. I mean, like when Kenlon sent his SCV down here and didn't continue to build workers while it was in motion. There's a rhythm to playing the game that I think a lot of people don't really... It's definitely not something that you have without developing that sense of rhythm, that sense of timing. Like the 17 in game seconds, I think it's more like 12 in real life. The 12-second worker build timing is something that you can get a feel for, like counting beats if you're playing music. I don't know if there are any musicians out there. I might be the only one, but this is a goofy decision. Okay, so I've always wondered, I think I may have talked about this before, it was possible to Monty Hall your scouting. If there are 3 potential scouting positions, and you scout 1, leaving 2 left. Mathematically, it should be the case that if you go to the other one in the sequence, you'll have a 66% chance of finding the right one instead of just 50-50. If anyone's not familiar with that problem, it has to do with an old game show where Monty Hall would offer you prizes behind doors, and he would reveal that certain doors did not contain prizes, and mathematically you were better off switching your guess rather than just sticking with the one you had already made, which makes sense, but is a little bit counterintuitive anyway. So I'm kind of amused he decided to scout the cross positions from the empty place rather than continue along the normal path and go down here. But anyway, 2 barracks, late gas, quicker factory. Kenlon's build is much more normal looking than his opponent, which is nice, but as I was saying about music, you know, and he has scouted the second barracks. You get a feel in your head for what the count is, right? Anyone who's played any kind of musical instrument will be familiar with this, and the placement of notes. And StarCraft has the same sort of thing. You just get a feel for what the beat of your macro game is, if that makes any sense. Or the beat of doing some sort of stutter step. You get a feel, a kind of a musical intuition about when you should be doing things. But it takes practice. Reactor. Okay. So, Charles obviously is intending to do some marine heavy play, right? And he's got a ton of barracks. Meanwhile, Kenlon is doing a much more normal sort of tick up quickly with a reasonably fast expansion build, which is the standard for TvT. Oh, this is interesting. Are we going to see some sort of goofy Viking play? That'd be cool. Maybe you're not going to see anything out of that. That'd be fine. Tech lab here, getting stim. What's it going to make? It's going to make medevacs, judging by the weight for the gas. This is a lot of barracks, you guys, and he's, of course, supply blocked to Satan and back, which is a real place. It's in Louisiana, which means he can't actually make use of any of these barracks, and doesn't seem to be aware of the mechanic of supply in this game because he's not building any more supply depots. So I feel pretty confident that Kenlon should win this based on that alone. But anyway, double medevac to support 1 and soon to be 3 barracks worth of production. That's kind of funny, right? Like when you think about the timing, like the intuition for timing that you get as a result of playing this game. If you want to think of the different production facilities as different instruments, the starport instrument is about 2 beats ahead of the marine instrument. Anyway, so all the add-ons are being made. We still have no production of supply depots from Charles Wang. He's stuck at 27 of 27 supply. Both players have practically 0 harvesters. This expansion is technically there. Tons of energy piling up on this command center. Oh man, TvT's so boring. At least Kenlon's spending his money. What little of it that he has. And that's good. But again, one of the themes that I see in a lot of lower league games is that neither player has any idea what the other player is doing, right? I mean, they sort of know where they are, but they have no presence on the map whatsoever. These watchtowers are going completely uncontested. They haven't bothered to scout or scan each other at all this entire game. They have no idea what their opponent is doing. And it would be so much easier for people in these leagues to know what to do if they would just be more proactive in terms of their scouting. I think it would really surprise people how easy it is to win games at the lower leagues if you can scout your opponent more actively. When you have air units like this Viking, or scouting mechanisms like the scan, there's no reason to not have full knowledge of what's going on. So there's some scans. So he knows that there's mass barracks with an in-base expansion right now, and that's a lot of barracks. They got concussive shells, or they got combat shields, rather. I saw the Marauder, and all I could think about was slowing down. Meanwhile, we're supply blocked over here. So it's just this game is going to take a long time for things to happen, I suspect. And before I fast forward, what you really, I think, want to be thinking about at these early leagues is more about how you want to dictate to your opponent what the game is going to be like. And by that I mean they're so inactive in terms of their scouting or their pressuring or reacting to anything that they see that they're kind of leaving each other alone to build up their sort of fortresses of solitude here. And then there's going to be a point later in the game when one of them becomes satisfied with what they've created and has decided to destroy the other player's sandcastle and is going to go over and try to kick it down. And one of them will have built, in the intervening 20 minutes, a bigger, cooler sandcastle that will stand up to the abuses the other player is going to try and put upon them. And the outcome of that fight will dictate who wins the game, because that's the only point at which either of them gains an advantage, is when one of their attacks either fails or succeeds. There is no advantage really gained in the build orders until that clash comes, because in the absence of another player, there's no way to tell if what you're doing is good or not. And by that I mean that everything you do in StarCraft is dictated by the other person. You're doing it either because you think you can exploit one of their weaknesses, or because you are reacting to something that you see them do. So when you sit back and relax for so long, it's impossible to judge at what point you made a build mistake. Like, can I go back and say, well, you screwed up your barracks timing, but he didn't attack you for another 10 minutes, so was that really a mistake? Yeah, it was. If you screwed up a timing like that, it is an error. But it doesn't matter, because you're never engaging with the player for whom that would be a mistake, or for whom he'd be able to exploit that mistake. So I would suggest, if you're a lower league player, is to just be as aggressive as humanly possible. Pick a build, an execution-based build that will allow you to quickly and effectively attack your opponent as early in the game as you can, off of 1 or 2 bases, and just practice that. And when that attack stops working, when you are no longer able to win the game with that tactic, then you can begin to look and say, okay, what do I need to refine in particular? But it's extremely difficult to effectively criticize this kind of play, because I can say things like, look at how much money you have. If you had this in units, you could have more guys, but it wouldn't matter because you're not attacking or being attacked. So let's speed up and get to the action. I like the 3rd and 4th bases. Alright, so we've got some dudes moving out here. About halfway through the game. They're going to ignore the watchtower. Always a good idea to never realize what's going on there. And so neither player has any idea that this attack... So the blue player has no idea what he's running these units into. And the red player has no idea that there are units about to run into him. Let's watch. Stings up. Alright, I don't know if anybody was watching that, but there's an interesting note here that I'd like to point out to Kenlon about his engagements, because this is good to think about. When you've got really powerful defenses like these siege tanks, and you're engaging an army, you want to make sure that they aren't just sitting back and not firing. So let's just watch the siege tanks. If you had pulled these infantry back just a smidge, you would have enabled this back siege tank and these 2 unsieged siege tanks to actually engage with this fight, and it would have been more effective for you. There's no reason to not pull your line back a few steps to get the rest of your army involved. So this fight happens, and it's excellent, and lots of units die. And we look at the units tossed, and we can say, alright, clearly a humongous advantage for Kenlon. But I'm looking at the game clock, and this game's going for another 13 minutes. How can this be, you ask? It's because Kenlon is not going to capitalize on this advantage. He's going to give Charles the opportunity to build up another force the way he likes to see it. What happens after... Okay, so in StarCraft, when you win a big engagement like this, which you did, and even I think a bronze player can tell they came out way ahead on that, that's the time that you need to become aggressive if you have not already. You need to press your advantage to win this game of strategy. You cannot sit back and allow the opponent to rebuild after they've suffered a defeat like that. So we're effectively, nothing has changed in this game. It's exactly the same as it was before that army moved out. So let's fast forward to the next time something happens. Alright, here's the thing. Got a bit of a drop going on here. Okay. He did scan to see that there was an open, like a clearing behind the smoke, and he also scanned here to see there wasn't a bunch of turrets or units sieged up, although he does see there's infantry here. So, the information that you got from this scan, right? You saw units here, production buildings here, an open space here, is that there's a weakness. Something you can exploit in your opponent lies here. And I like the decision to go and punish this, but I think that this kind of instinct to, or the sort of the style of thinking about the game of seeing a weakness and exploiting it is something that needs to happen way sooner than 20 minutes into the game. Like, you need to be, and you know, part of it may be that you don't know if there is a weakness to exploit or not, right? Because these people are doing such sort of goofy builds that it can be difficult to tell if you're going to do well in an engagement or not. But I think that if the more you practice the game, the more a sense of what is and isn't a weakness looks like, and you'll have a better idea of when you need to attack. And you'll quickly find out that in the lower leagues, that's all the time, because no one down here is executing a build that doesn't have glaring, gaping flaws and weaknesses in it. You can always go in and deal terrific damage to people in the early leagues. If you have an opening that affords you that kind of early attack force, you can do monstrous damage to people at any stage in the game, and it's particularly early on. So this is really bad for Charles. I mean, he's getting horribly supply blocked. His opponent's up 80 supply. This drop's going to get cleaned up, yes, but he's already lost a base. He's lost a bunch of supply depots. These medevacs are going to fly away and not die. Oh, I'm wrong about that. They didn't die. Okay. So, still. He's up 2 bases. He's got Thors, which are really cool. It's an interesting place for these depots. I'm pretty sure that he's just decided not to mine these last few 100 minerals. Alright. Now we take the watchtowers. Cool. I like taking watchtowers. If you look at Kenlon's hotkeys, they're actually pretty good. I can't tell necessarily what they are, but he's got 3 different army hotkeys, and he's got hotkeys for each of his production structures, and that's nice to see. Not producing a whole lot, but, you know, it comes with practice, right? You just get into the rhythm of your macro, and you know when you need to go back to your factories, and when you need to go back to your barracks, and when you need to attend to your SCs. It's a lot like the inject timing with Zerg players, where they just get a feeling for when they need to go back and look. Anyway, but again, no follow-up from Kenlon, no desperate all-in from Charles, so let's just fast forward to the next thing that happens, because we are, again, effectively in the exact same place that we've always been, except the advantage for Kenlon is just sort of compounding itself. Taking another base there. More depots. Just everywhere there are depots. Oh. Okay, so I'm not sure this really counts as something happens, but let's watch these Vikings. I don't know what they're hunting for. If you're going to scout, it's better to risk 1 Viking rather than your whole fleet. unless you're hunting down drops or something like that that you need to kill off. But yes, there is an orbital here. Maybe he scouted it beforehand, decided to kill it with a mobile force he could lift up. That's not a bad idea at all. It's unusual to see a game where Vikings are actually used as raiders, but I like it. So that goes down. A little follow-up here. And this is exactly the kind of thing you want to do, is when you see or intuit that there is an exposed weakness, you can just go and take that mother out. Don't be shy. If you lose a game because you overcommitted, you can always go back to the replay and say, okay, what did I not know? Like, what should I have seen? What should I have scouted out first? Did I need to do more reconnaissance and decide if that was a safe engagement? Should I have microed the battle better? What should I... It's just I didn't have enough stuff. But you learn much more from doing things than from being passive in terms of being able to improve your play. And also just in terms of game knowledge. So let's keep fast forwarding here, because nothing is happening again. Another base. Vikings are going to blow the hell out of that thing. Wow. How did he know that? That's interesting. In fact, how did he know this was here? Okay, he scanned that. I'll buy that. But what about this one? So this is going. I'm gonna take the Kenlon cam here. And he scans the floater. Okay, gotcha, cool. I'm not saying you're a map hacker, but, you know, I like to check. So that gets blown up, and the Vikings land, and they shoot this thing up, and they blow that up, and that's really good. And here it looks like the end of the game to me. Oh, there's still 10 minutes left, so who knows what's going on anymore. Bunch of Thors, bunch of tanks, some Ravens, a ton of Vikings killing the hell out of this refinery. The infantry come down, there's tanks. Oh no, the Vikings, they need to run away. Cool. A lonely hellion. It's the junk drawer approach to the Terran armies. It can be really hard to break and then siege Terran like this. I mean, there's a ton of just tanks just siege up, so I kind of think I know why this game has 9 minutes left, because he has to just continually attack move dudes into this army until he can kill them all. Cool. Tanks are neat. It's a lot of siege tanks, so I wouldn't be cautious about it, you know, approaching this, because it's not like he's mining from anywhere. You can't make enough dudes to come kill you. Yeah, right. Just end the game, man. Damn. Well, whatever. This one's clearly over. They're scanning each other. They're getting shot at. There's dudes. Are we getting battle cruisers? Are we getting any kind of breaking thing? No, we're just gonna sit out here. Maybe this is like emotionally satisfying for people, just to completely prevent their opponent from moving anywhere and seeing if he'll quit out of frustration. Ooh, nice. I like the Hunter Seeker missiles. That was cool. I'm taking every base. It's a nice gesture. And the desperation attack. Single file into the tanks. Grim. Very grim. I'm pretty sure these tanks are out of range. He just wants he wants a bloodbath. He wants these tanks to get some kills before they die. Yeah, you certainly have. Well, I think we, the audience, would really appreciate if you would just end the game. But I suppose I could always just end the replay. I'm guessing this blue player just quits. And I'm right about that. Alright, so... yeah, this is a great example of a game in which... it's a great example of how you should be as active as possible in StarCraft 2. Take the watchtowers. Poke around. Try and take your opponent out as aggressively and as quickly as you can. Because you can win games just by starving them out like this and just sort of like gaining a slow economic advantage. But unfortunately, unless you have a really perfectly timed build, once you get into the higher leagues, people are going to kill you before you can get that sort of like perfectly simmed city approach going. And that can be disheartening. And I think you'll find with those perfectly timed builds, you can take people out much sooner than you can in games like this, and much more decisively as well. So I'm going to go ahead and cancel this cast, and I may do another one here in a second if I am so moved.